Let's solve for this nice problem here. James and Martina have a total sum of $1,330 together. If 3/23 of James's amount is equal to 9/26 of Martina's amount, approximately what percent more money does Martina need to have in order to have an amount equal to that of James? We have possible answers here. A, 26.5, B, 38, C, 52, D, 126.5, and E, 165. So what are we going to do here? So we know that James is J, M is Martina. So we're going to use words into equations. And that's what about algebra, okay? So it's going to be J plus Martina M equals to 1,330. We know that, okay? What else do we know? Second sentence says what? 3/23 of J is equal to what? 9/26 of Martina. All right? So now what we're going to do is, because remember, the Martina is our target. Okay? So we want to get the amount for Martina. But before we get the amount for Martina, we need to get J in terms of M. Okay? So we're going to have to write J in terms of M. So that means J is what we're looking for in this equation here. So now we can cross multiply. So when you cross multiply, what do you have? So it's going to be J equals to what? So that would be 9 times 23 on the top over 3 times 26 at the bottom. 3 times 26 at the bottom. And then don't forget about M. Now, for this one here, very quickly, we can do 9 divided by 3, which is 3, so that we can then multiply 3 by 26, which is what? 69 over 26 M. We don't have to reduce this one at this point. We can't even, because there's no number that can go into those two evenly. So we keep it as this for now. So now that we know James in terms of Martina, we can take this now and plug it back into the original equation. So J is what? J is 69 over 26M plus M equals to 1,330. Are you with me? Yes? So now we can add these two together. The lowest common denominator is 26 because that's the only denominator that we have. So that's very simple. So we have 69 then plus, all right, so what's happening here? So plus 26, okay, because that's the lowest common denominator. So the denominator is 26, I'm sorry. So the lowest common denominator is 26. So this one stays 69 on top there, plus then another 69, okay? Or if you want to, you can add the M here and the M here. So that'd be equal to 1,330. So once you add these two together, that would give you what? 95. So you have 95M over 26, that would be equal to 1,330. So what are we solving for Martina? Because don't forget, we're looking for the amount for Martina first, right? So the amount for Martina first is all about what? Dividing both sides by 95 over 26, 95 over 26, or you can cross multiply also. Okay, so it doesn't really matter. You can cross multiply or you can just divide these two. So M is going to give us what? So M is going to give us then, so it's 13. So let's go for it. Then times 26 divided by 95. So we're left with 364. 364. That's the amount for James. All right? And then how do we get then the amount for Martina, I'm sorry. So how do we get then the amount for James? Is by going back over here and then substituting here. Easy. All right? So James then is equal to 69 over 26 times M, right? So M is 364. So we do the operation also over here. So, you know, 966. So for James is going to give us what? $966. All right? And then, of course, if you add these two together, you should be able to get 1,330. But ladies and gentlemen, that's not the question. The question is not just to get these two values. It's not to get this and that. Is what percent of more money does Martina need to have in order to have an amount equal to that of James? So the first thing we got to find is how much more does James have than Martina? We need to find that. So how much more? So how much more? So I put in more. So that'll be what? That'll be $966 minus $364. So that's James minus Martina. So that would give us what? That would give us, so that's a 2 down here. That's 0, that's $602. So how much more is $602? However, that's not also the answer. That's also not the final question. Final question is what percent? All right? So what percent? So now we got to find the percent. So to get the percent, what do we need? So we have how much more, which is 602, divided by the amount for Martina, 364. Ladies and gentlemen, you got to multiply that by 100 because you're dealing with percent. So let's go for it. So you have 602. $165. So for the percent, we have 165.38. And then if we round that off, so we have 165%. 165%, ladies and gentlemen, that's E that we're looking for. So you take your time, you go back to this problem and see what we had to do. Very interesting, all right?